track of the 1001 things your dysfunctional family never taught you. It didn't teach me this, and I've had to learn the hard way, which is kind of weird. So this is kind of like two sides of the same coin of interest, I guess. So if you are into men and men are into you, whatever that looks like, let's talk about that. So on one side, so when I went to World Trade Center, I'm definitely not going to use the same names. We'll call the guy in question, we'll call him York. Just because the back of my phone says New York City. So York is this guy's name for now. So when I went to World Trade Center, I met a lot of great people. Like I said, I still love these people every day. So there was a really interesting man, younger man, of course. I'm sorry, this is how it is. And he started off, like when we met, he's kind of quiet. And every once in a while, like if we were in the same space, he would ask me about the teaching program, like how it was going. But he said it in such a way where I thought he was kind of like making a dig at the program, because not everybody at every location loved the concept of the teachers like getting to be kind of front and center on stage. So I'm gonna have to find a different name for this. We'll call it All Day at the Orange Grove. That's what we're gonna call it. So that was the title. That's not really the title. It's a fake title, but you get it. All Day at the Orange Grove. So All Day at the Orange Grove was part of the teaching curriculum, or the name of the teaching curriculum that we had. And it involved like me doing live drawing, people making music, people doing photography, but then also actual lessons and the occasional larger event. So every once in a while, whether we were in our morning group meetings or other kinds of meetings or in the elevator, he would say, hey, All Day at the Orange Grove. But the way he said it, I misinterpreted it like, you're being a jackass. Like you're trying to like throw me shade for something I'm proud of. And so he would often do that. And I just thought he was being a butthead. And, I didn't know how to react to him. And also though he is a massive guy, he's kind of quiet. So one day just the two of us, we get into the elevator because, World Trade Center is multiple floors. We get into the elevator and it's just us. And he says, I'm just trying not to talk to him. Like, I don't want to be mean because I see he's nice to other people, but I just can't figure him out. So it's just the two of us in the elevator. And sometimes the elevator is slow. We don't know why. And so there he is, like a foot beside me. And he's like, hey, there's the video collage that you all created that's in the break room. It has a really beautiful photo of you, on it. And then as the doors are opening, he says, but really every photo of you is a beautiful photo. And as he walks off, I'm like, oh, holy crap. That's his way of flirting with me this entire time. Like, okay, I never would have guessed that that's how you're flirting with me. If you ever see this, by the way, I had no idea that's what you were doing at the time. So I say all that to say, sometimes you need to be a little bit more clear on your feelings, because maybe the other person could be interested or reciprocate. But if you don't make it clear, they're not gonna know. So that's one side of the coin. Now, the flip side of the coin that I've unfortunately had more experience with is often, not always, but often men having a problem being able to articulate how they feel in the moment. I believe that two humans have the ability and right to have a conversation about how they feel about each other. Everybody deserves to have the information. So it's not like, at least for girls, I think for most of us women, maybe not all of us, when we want to have a conversation, it's not like I want to marry you tomorrow, let's go have babies, hey, I'm going to hit on you. It's not like, we're not trying to force you into a situation. We just need to know, in the lay of the romantic landscape, where exactly are you and where exactly am I? It is a conversation. It is not a lifetime commitment. But somehow men tend not to deal with this so well. At least not in my personal experience. So you may remember the story of Brody, for instance. Brody ended up going kind of a weird way with saying that I was the one that had feelings for him, trying to make fun of me, etc. And then 2 years later, when he's about to propose to someone else, all of this stuff comes out. So there you go on that. And then another situation with, we'll call him Kendall again. Then Kendall ends up having feelings for me. For whatever reasons, he had trouble in the beginning deciphering them, etc. And by the time he got done with deciphering them, I was kind of, even though I still was in love with him, I was emotionally done, because get your crap together. And then even more recently, a similar scenario has happened of, hey, based on all of these things, I would think that you like me. So I'm going to just spend just a brief minute just to explain to our viewing public what it looks like from all of the research I've done. Yes, I am a nerd. I'm an INTJ. I love research. Y'all know my childhood was crazy. There's whole swaths of subjects that were never covered. So I spent a lot of time in my youth and adult life trying to figure people out, because, unfortunately, people aren't always truthful. Not that they're trying to be deceitful, but they don't feel comfortable living or telling the truth. So here's a few things in no particular order that if A, you like someone, that you tend to do, but also B, if you don't want to give the wrong impression, you don't do these things. And I can't speak for every dynamic relationship that exists. I am straight, so that kind of, keeps me in a certain kind of box. But I think you'll see this happen across a lot of different areas when it comes to romance. So a couple of things that happen when we like someone, and I should have realized this with York but he's so tall, it was hard to see his eyes, to be fair. But York's pupils would dilate when he saw me. I don't know what I thought. I think I just ignored it probably for the while. Plus, also, sometimes it's really hard to see because he's like, I'm 5'8", but he's like 6 inches taller than me. But pupil dilation is a big thing for interest. It's called autonomic response. It means it's automatic. You can't control it. It happens. Also, when it comes to pupil dilation, you aren't carrying around, at least most of us, you aren't carrying around a mirror of what you look like at all times. So you can't see you when you get that look on your eyes or your whole face. So that's probably one indicator of interest, is like, hey, what do their eyes look like? Are their pupils dilating? Does their face like light up when they see you or have a conversation? Do they get a little nervous? You're going to be able to see that in if their hands are fidgety, if they tense up a little bit, if they stand up a little bit taller and straighter. That can be just a telltale sign. Also, yes, I studied this a lot, like a lot. And I can give you links to other like actual gurus that will tell you more about it that I actually learned from. But for instance, how gentlemen or how men stand when they're interested in you, even if they're talking to someone else, how their body will be pointed towards you, how they are relaxed, etc. A few things that they say or do. Here's one of my favorites, because this has happened like 3 times now with 3 different guys. 2 of them, I'm like, shoot your shot, but not interested. But the third one was like, oh, okay. So if you've ever had a guy mention that, if he's ever mentioned his own underwear or the lack of, that's usually like a Joey Tribbiani, how you doing kind of move. So for instance, in the past 6 months, a guy was like, we're just sitting there and talking about stuff. And he was leaning for just a second. He goes, do you ever forget if you're wearing underwear or not? Okay, here's the deal. That's flirting. So just so you'll know, if you've done it, you flirted. If you don't want to flirt, don't say that. Typically, that specific comment is honestly used by guys trying to get girls to think about their junk. There's just no sweet way I can say it. Anytime that a guy shows off physically. So like I had a guy in New York City. Part of what I do for the Orange Grove is photography, and I'm actually pretty good at it, but just on the phone. And so I've dealt a lot with like lighting and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the guys that was flirting with me, and this sounds like I have a bevy of men. I don't, I'm just saying, when the occasion arises, here we go. So he sent me a picture. He showed me a picture of, he's like, hey, you got to see this picture I took last night of me running in Brooklyn. You love the lighting. Okay, well, in the lighting, that is interesting because there's a warm light and a cool light, and it's outside on a track. He's totally shirtless with really small shorts, and like he is cut. So really, you're showing me the lighting. Mm-hmm. So anytime a guy typically shows a woman a picture of any part of his physique, there's a reason for that. There's the R version of pictures that get sent, and I have been on the unfortunate recipient of that when I didn't ask for it. And then there's also the PG version of here's my chest, here's my legs, here's my whole thing. Aren't these shorts good looking? Isn't the light good? Flirting. Like, wouldn't that be fun if you could literally go like around two people that are kind of indecisive and be like, flirting, like flag on the field. That would be totally great if you could do that. I would, if I'm a millionaire, I'm warning you all right now. If I ever become wealthy, I literally may just do that. I might just take flags and like throw them at people while I see flirting happen. I just think it would be funny. So that's a few ones. Now, I'm going to be as delicate as I can be about this. I'm just going to say it. So when you're talking to a guy and there's like good chemistry between the two of you, and you're like, not like in talks, I mean like physically having a conversation, and he has to get up to straighten his pants and then sit down, something has happened to make his pants not fit exactly like they did 5 minutes ago. I will leave it at that. Men, you know exactly what I'm talking about, so don't pretend you don't. Women, I'm just gonna have to let you ask a man in your life that you trust on that one, because you know, I don't know how I have to keep to certain parameters here on my videos, so I'm going to keep it PG. So that is another one. Also, interestingly enough, and this one was a more recent discovery, when men are around women they are highly attracted to, their noses run. Who knew? So that's a kind of an interesting one. I had to deal with that one quite a lot. Oh, this is a weird one that showed up I guess it showed up twice, which this one I kind of really don't like, but it is what it is. So often if you have a guy friend that you hang around with where it is fully platonic, and then another party that's interested in you kind of comes into the scene, we'll say guy A, guy B. So guy A is he's your friend guy. He's totally platonic as far as you know, it's just platonic. Here comes guy B, and guy B, for whatever reason, either starts to kind of compete for your attention with guy A, or when guy A is not there, he'll make funny negative comments about guy A, usually about his physique, his intelligence, or his appearance. And it's just funny enough where he can laugh it off. Or personal favorites, when they start to do feats of strength near and or around guy A, like dropping and doing push-ups right before I took a picture of these two guys together, and guy B hadn't done that with anybody else. So hence again, hashtag flirting. So if guys start to do that, or they start to get louder or have a lot more energy when you are around, or weird favorite, because I've actually lived through this one a couple of times, if they initiate physical contact at not a distance, I'll explain it. The high five. Let's talk about the high five. So the high five is a good way to breach the physical barrier with anybody. Now we do it with little kids, like to show love and like happiness and add energy. But on occasion, a guy will do a high five to, like, instead of being able to give a girl a hug that he thinks is cute, he's at least going to give her a high five so that there's touching that happen. The funny thing to watch it is when you realize the guy has realized, oh crap, I keep just doing this to her. And then he's like looking for anybody else to give a high five to. So just know, like, those are like 4 or 5 out of that like 100 things that guys can do if they're interested in you. So like I said, either A, if you're interested, B, more obvious, you could try some of these things. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the underwear comment, but whatever. Or the more explicit pictures, no, we don't. I don't know who started that trend or who thinks we like that. No, stop it with the extra pictures. We don't need that, no. But on the rest of it, these are things that guys do typically do, either on purpose or on accident, like the eye dilation to let a girl know that they're liked. And on the other side, if you really don't want a girl to think that you have feelings for her, man, don't go there. Like, really, just don't go there. Because if you're going there, it's flirting, period. The last is, a guy once told me, I've actually had 2 guys tell me this, which I'm like, I don't need to know that either. One guy told me that he'd had a vasectomy a long time ago. Why would I, as your friend, need to know that? I wouldn't. And then another guy told me that he was in a relationship and his partner was making him get a vasectomy and he didn't want to get one. Once again, I don't need to know that. I also think the partner that you're with probably wouldn't be thrilled that you told a woman that she didn't even know about that you're getting a vasectomy. So there's just weird things that have happened in my life. I'm passing this knowledge along, not from a place of anything really than like, hey, just so you'll know, you're not in this alone, and here's some ways to get clarity. Now, there are 1,000 other ways to flirt that are, I think, just better and more obvious, but if they're doing any of these that I just talked about, you can start to know like, hey, this person at least thinks you're very attractive, if not attractive, and has feelings for you. So there's that. And then in conclusion, the story with York, we had a little bit of a strange ride, but he's very, very sweet. So York, I hope you've learned from this and have a little bit more insight into future dating, and I wish you the best. All right, everybody, more later.